Alexander the Great, a name that resonates through the corridors of time, echoing the tales of a man who became a legend. The name echoes through history. He is a legend, a conqueror. But before he became the formidable figure known to the world, he was simply a young prince with dreams and ambitions. But before the legend, there was a prince, a boy who would grow into a man destined to change the course of history. Born in Pella, Macedonia in 356 BC, Alexander was destined for greatness. From the moment of his birth, the stars seemed to align in his favor, marking him for an extraordinary path. His father was King Philip II, a fierce warrior king. Philip was not just a ruler, but a visionary who transformed Macedonia into a powerful military state. He was a man of ambition and strategy, qualities that he would pass on to his son. His mother was Olympias, a woman of fiery spirit and noble lineage. Olympias was known for her strong will and deep religious beliefs, often participating in the mystic rites of the cult of Dionysus. Her influence on Alexander was profound, instilling in him a sense of destiny and divine purpose. Alexander's childhood was privileged but rigorous. He was not just a prince living in luxury. His upbringing was designed to prepare him for the immense responsibilities that lay ahead. He received a royal education. His studies were comprehensive, covering a wide range of subjects that would equip him for leadership. Aristotle himself was his tutor. The great philosopher imparted wisdom that went beyond mere academics, teaching Alexander about ethics, politics, and the natural world. The young prince learned philosophy, politics, and warfare. He devoured Homer's epics. These stories of heroism and adventure captivated his imagination and shaped his ideals. The Iliad and the Odyssey fueled his imagination. He saw himself in the heroes of these tales, dreaming of his own future conquests and glories. He dreamed of heroes and conquests. These dreams were not mere fantasies, but the seeds of his future ambitions. Beyond his studies, Alexander displayed remarkable physical prowess. He was not just a scholar, but a warrior in the making. He excelled in horsemanship and swordsmanship. His skills in these areas were exceptional, setting him apart from his peers. His courage was evident from a young age. He was fearless. This fearlessness was not just physical, but also mental, as he constantly sought to push his limits and challenge the status quo. At 16, he led his first cavalry charge. This was a significant moment, showcasing his leadership and tactical skills. He helped crush a rebellion while his father was away. This act of bravery and decisiveness earned him respect and recognition. Even as a youth, Alexander possessed an aura of destiny. Those around him could sense that he was meant for greatness. He was no ordinary prince. His ambitions were vast, and his intellect was sharp. He was ambitious, intelligent, and utterly fearless. These qualities would define his future endeavors and set him on a path to becoming one of history's greatest conquerors. The world would soon learn his name. Alexander the Great was not just a title, it was a testament to his extraordinary life and achievements. Alexander grew up in the shadow of his father, Philip II, a man whose presence was as commanding as his ambitions were vast. Philip II was a formidable king, a ruler whose vision and strength transformed the fate of Macedonia. Under his leadership, Macedonia evolved from a relatively obscure kingdom into a dominant military power, feared and respected by its neighbors. Philip's ambition knew no bounds. He was not content with merely securing his kingdom, he dreamed of expanding it far beyond its borders. His ultimate goal was to conquer Persia, the greatest empire the world had ever seen, a feat that would cement his legacy for all time. Alexander, growing up in this environment, both admired and resented his father. He saw Philip's greatness, but also felt the weight of his expectations. He yearned for his father's approval, constantly striving to earn a nod of recognition or a word of praise. Yet deep within, he craved to surpass him, to carve out his own legacy that would outshine even that of Philip. The relationship was complex, a mixture of love, rivalry, and simmering tension, each pushing the other to greater heights. In 336 BC, tragedy struck. The ambitious plans of Philip were cut short. Philip II was assassinated, leaving a void in the leadership of Macedonia and a young Alexander in shock and grief. The throne of Macedon passed to Alexander, a young man of just 20 years, suddenly thrust into the role of king. He was just 20 years old, inexperienced in the ways of ruling, but filled with the fire of ambition and the teachings of his father. Many doubted his ability to rule. The courtiers and generals who had served his father saw him as untested, a mere boy in a man's world. They saw him as untested, inexperienced. But Alexander was determined to prove them wrong, to show that he was not just his father's son, but a leader in his own right. They would soon learn their mistake. Alexander faced challenges immediately, and he met them with a resolve that surprised many. Alexander faced challenges immediately. Rebellions erupted within Macedonia and Greece, testing the young king's mettle and his ability to maintain control. Enemies saw an opportunity in Philip's death. They believed that the young and inexperienced Alexander would be easy to overthrow. They sought to exploit the young king's perceived weakness. They underestimated Alexander's resolve, his strategic mind, and his ability to inspire loyalty among his troops. He moved swiftly and decisively, showing a level of military precision and leadership that few had expected. He crushed the rebellions with ruthless efficiency, demonstrating that he was not to be underestimated. He asserted his authority over Greece, uniting the city-states under his rule and preparing them for the campaigns that lay ahead. He proved himself a worthy successor to his father's throne, not just by maintaining what Philip had built, but by expanding it, setting the stage for his own legendary conquests. The ancient world in the 4th century BC was a tapestry of warring states and shifting alliances. The mighty Persian Empire under Darius III held sway over vast territories. Yet the empire was showing cracks. Internal strife and weak leadership had begun to erode its foundations. The Greek city-states, while fiercely independent, were often plagued by internal conflicts and rivalries. This disunity made them vulnerable to outside threats. The Persians had exploited these divisions before, launching invasions that threatened Greek freedom. Alexander inherited his father's vision of a united Greece, but he aimed higher. He envisioned a world united under his rule. He saw an opportunity in the Persian Empire's weakness. He would finish what his father had started. He would lead the Greeks to victory over their ancient enemy. He would conquer Persia and beyond. In 334 BC, Alexander embarked on his first campaign. This was not just any campaign, it was the beginning of a series of conquests that would change the course of history forever. He led a combined Macedonian and Greek army across the Hellespont into Asia Minor. The crossing of the Hellespont was a symbolic act, marking the start of his ambitious plan to conquer the Persian Empire. His objective, to liberate the Greek cities under Persian rule and strike a blow against the Persian Empire. These cities had long been under Persian control, and Alexander saw himself as their liberator, bringing freedom and Greek culture back to these lands. His army was small but elite. Unlike the vast Persian forces, Alexander's troops were highly trained and motivated. It consisted of seasoned veterans and loyal companions. These were men who had fought alongside Alexander's father, King Philip II, and had been hardened by years of warfare. They were fiercely disciplined and expertly trained. Their rigorous training regimes and strict discipline made them a formidable force on the battlefield. At the heart of his army was the Macedonian phalanx. This was a revolutionary military formation that had been perfected by his father. This formidable infantry unit was armed with long pikes and shields. The pikes, known as sarissas, were much longer than the spears used by their enemies, giving them a significant reach advantage. They formed an impenetrable wall of bronze and flesh. The phalanx moved as a single unit, each soldier protecting the man to his left with his shield, creating a nearly unbreakable barrier. Leading from the front, Alexander inspired his troops with his courage and charisma. He shared their hardships. He fought alongside them. His presence on the battlefield was a powerful motivator for his men. He was no distant commander. Unlike many leaders of his time, Alexander did not command from the rear. He was always at the forefront, leading by example. He was one of them. This close relationship with his soldiers fostered a deep sense of loyalty and camaraderie. His men would follow him anywhere. They trusted him completely and were willing to go to great lengths to achieve his vision, to the ends of the earth if necessary. This unwavering loyalty was one of the key factors in Alexander's success. Alexander's invasion did not go unnoticed. The Persian Empire, vast and powerful, was well aware of the threat posed by the young Macedonian king. Darius III, the Persian king, assembled a vast army to meet the Macedonian threat. Darius was determined to crush Alexander and maintain his control over the Greek cities and the rest of his empire. The stage was set for a clash of civilizations. This was not just a battle for territory, but a struggle between two vastly different cultures and ways of life, a battle that would decide the fate of empires. The outcome of this conflict would shape the future of the ancient world, influencing the course of history for centuries to come.